Good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, and this is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. My name is Stacy Niedenthal. I come to you every Tuesday at 10:30 to talk to you about connecting with people on the other side, to talk to you about death and dying, meditation, wholeness, coming back home, allowing yourself to just release guilt and anger. These are things that we talk about every Tuesday at 10:30. We've been doing this for, goodness, I think about 3 years now, that I've come on pretty much every single Tuesday at 10:30 to just sit and talk and chat for a little while. I always like to start with my intentions before I get started, just so you know who I am and what I'm about. My name is Stacy. I am a child of God. I'm a spiritual healer. I'm a psychic medium, and I've been given a gift from God to channel spirit using love and light for my higher good and the higher good of those who God puts in my path. I'm not the medium that says, I see death all around you and you're going to be dead in 10 days. My gift, my prayer is that God, that spirit, that angels bring in the most loving message to help your spirit heal. Most people who come to me are either at a crossroads and they're looking for direction, or they want to connect with someone on the other side. Sitting in front of me, this is part of the message that you would hear from me, part of the intention that you would hear from me. And there is more, but I always like to state my intention before I start. It's kind of that light switch for spirit to know that I am open and ready to receive the messages that they want to give to me. All right. So that's how that works. So good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. So I will be, I'm looking at the January, I'm opening up my January calendar, and I am booking private appointments in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, as well as Bel Air. Also booking group appointments that you host in your own home or in different venues. So if that's something that you're interested in, just email me at connectingtospiritwithstacy@gmail.com. I am working on getting an online calendar for the beginning of the year. That's my goal, to have online bookings starting January. So we'll see how that goes. But January 23rd through the 25th, I will be in Bel Air. There's a group on the 24th. And then February 20th to the 22nd, again, I'll be back in Bel Air. There's a group on the 21st, and then a past life regression at the Center for Trauma. In January, I'll also be hosting a group reading or a gallery reading here at Hip Gypsy Emporium. So if you're interested, let me know. Come and join me. So Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving was last week. We hosted, I don't know, we probably had maybe 40 people that came, family and friends that came together, and we were able to just sit down and be thankful for each other. And I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Holidays can be difficult, and we've got one more month and then it's going to be 2023. It's like, it's crazy how these months, these days, these years just kind of fly by. So I wanted to kind of embrace the new year, the new thoughts, the new feelings that are going to be coming into play. We did the 30 days of gratitude where we listed, I haven't done mine yet today, where I would put what I was grateful for. You know, how did you do with that? Did it help you to think of something that you were thankful for to make your day a little bit brighter? There were days that I struggled a little bit with what I was thankful for, but I was able to figure it out and able to be thankful for something just to make my day, like I said, a little bit better, a little bit easier. So if today, with the new year coming and new anniversaries coming, I wanted to talk about what happens after you die. I wanted to talk to you about, it seems like one of the most popular questions or the most popular comments I get when I do a reading is my loved one okay? I just want to make sure they're okay. And there are so many books, there's so many thought processes about what happens after you die. But you know what? No one is actually going to know until you take your last breath. Near-death experiences, they get a taste of what it is. But until we all take our last breath, we're not going to know what happens after you die. There is a good book that Echo Bodine wrote that's called What Happens After You Die. It talks about the stages that the body goes through, how to make sense of death, you know, the nature of heaven, the white light in the tunnel and things like that. And I do suggest that to a lot of my clients to read. It just kind of gives you a little bit of a better understanding about the whole death process. So I just think I wanted to talk about kind of what I have learned, what I have felt in readings about what happens when you pass. And I felt like, I feel as if we question if our loved one is okay because we're not okay. There's so many unanswered questions. Where did they go? What are they doing? What happened? Were they alone? Who greeted them? You know, all these things. There's no surefire way to know what's going on with your loved one. But I just wanted to talk to you about what I have learned through this. And I just wanted to pose that question to you. Are you questioning if they're okay because you're not okay? It's hard for us to imagine that they would be okay moving on without us because we're not okay moving on without them. So it's one of those inner questions that I want you to think about. And it's one of those things that even if you're not okay, you're working on it. It's a daily, a weekly, a minute by minute process, but you're already doing it and you will be okay. And then there are days that you won't be okay. But I wanted to talk to you. You know, it's kind of it's not really a strange subject. It makes sense to me in my head, but to verbalize it and to talk about it. So hopefully this will make sense. But when I was in church and when you read about death, you know, the Bible clearly states that our last breath here is our first breath there. Okay, that makes sense. That sounds good. But then when you go further back into the Bible, and I believe it's in Revelations, when it talks about the rapture, it says that the dead in Christ will rise first. So I always kind of was conflicted with that. So if my last breath here is my first breath there, when the rapture happens, the dead in Christ, well, am I not already there? That's kind of what I was thinking. But what I've learned through connecting with spirit, to talking to my guides, my rationalization, my understanding, I guess that's a better way to say it, is that when the body dies, the soul goes to rest, and then the spirit goes on to complete things in the universe, in the spirit energy with Christ that it needs to finish, that it has this specific job to do, let's just say. It has different things that it needs to complete on its soul journey. And then when the rapture happens, the soul and the spirit meet together and they rise up higher. It's almost like thinking, and again, like I said, it makes sense in my head. So hopefully it makes sense to you. I feel as if heaven, I feel as if energy has different layers. And it's almost like, you know, when you first pass, you're on the first floor or the second floor or the third floor. And as you complete the duties in spirit that you need to do, that's when, you know, you go up to the next floor. And then when the spirit and the soul come together, that's when you're in the penthouse. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. Like I said, it makes sense to me in my head. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain what I see and what I feel. But like I said, it makes sense in my head. So hopefully it isn't totally confusing to you and it makes sense to you as well. So, okay, I already talked about that. Let's see here. Okay. And like I said, I feel as if when you go to a reading or when you talk about your loved one, it is always questioning, you know, are they okay? And I remember one of my first readings that I had for myself, and the medium said, well, you know, your mom has things to do. And I'm like, well, like what? What's she doing there? Like, well, what's she doing? And I can imagine, you know, she always liked to garden, so I can imagine her taking care of the gardens. I can imagine her singing in the choir. There are loved ones who have passed in a car accident. So I believe that those are the ones that, you know, when someone else has a car accident, they're the spirit in help. They're the helper spirits that, you know, come to the rescue of that person and they help them to acclimate into spirit. So I feel as if, I do feel as if spirit has different jobs. What all their jobs are, I don't know. I'm curious to see what my job will be. But I just want you to know that yes, your loved one is okay. But check in with yourself to see if you're okay. Hi. So, let's see. So I also get questioned about, I wasn't there. My loved one died alone. I can assure you, your loved one does not die alone. There are past loved ones, past family members, angels, God, who are there to greet them and to welcome them into the other side. There are people who will spend day and night at the side of their ailing parent or, you know, whomever, and they get up and they go to the bathroom for like 2 minutes and they come up and they've passed. You weren't supposed to be there. For some reason, you weren't supposed to be there. And I've talked about when your loved one never dies alone. When my father-in-law was ill, we were all there with him. You know, he got to talk to every single one of us. And we all started, you know, leaving little by little. And, you know, when my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law left, they weren't even home when they got the call that he had passed. Well, it didn't surprise me that my father-in-law would not have wanted anybody there to witness that. That just wasn't who he was, to want to have people around him watching him take his last breath. You know, he came into this world alone with just his mother, and he wanted to go out of this world alone. And I can just imagine that his mother was there with him to greet him. Does it make sense? So I don't want you to feel that your loved one dies alone. There are people who will say to me, oh, they waited. You know, they waited. And I know my mom waited. You know, I know my mom waited until she was able to, you know, see everyone. My son got married the day before she passed. She wasn't able to make it to the wedding, but the whole wedding party went up to see her and to talk to her. And then she passed the following morning at 2:11, right? I know she waited. She didn't want her death date to be on her grandson's wedding day. So spirit, energy, it all interacts differently. But know that, one, they weren't alone. Know that if you didn't get a chance to say goodbye, they know that. They feel that. and you can still talk to them and tell them goodbye. You know, I always look at death as not that final goodbye, because I will meet you again very soon. So it's more of a see you later, or, you know, catch you on the flip side, however you want to look at it. So, but there's spirits around them assisting them. And if you have the chance, before they part, before they leave, talk to them about what it feels like. What's going on? What are you seeing? What do you want me to do? You know, if you have that chance, discuss it. When mom was sick, and she would say, you know, that she didn't want to die, or she wasn't ready to die. You know, I can remember hearing, I don't know whether it was me, my sister, my father, I don't know who said it. Oh, let's not talk about that. That's not going to happen today. And then later, when I was alone with her for the weekend before she came home, you know, we talked a little bit about it, and it was hard for me to discuss this with her, but it was something that she needed to do. So if you have the chance, talk to them, ask them, what's going on? What are you seeing? How are you feeling? What do you want me to do? You know, So my guide just reminded me, and Denise, you're on here so you can validate this. When Denise's mom got sick, she told me she went and grabbed all these photo albums and pictures of everybody, and she made her mom tell her who was in the picture and a story about it. And she was like, Mom, you're not going anywhere until we go through all these pictures, because once you die, I'm not going to know who these people are. And I just thought that was so cool to have that conversation with your mom, to have these pictures. Mom, I don't know who this is. Who is this? I got to write it on the back. Tell me a story about this person. You know, what great memories. And what a great way for her mom to be able to share in memories that maybe Denise didn't know anything about. You know, what a great moment that it was to keep mom talking about these and having her relive these memories that she had and share them with her daughter. So, you know, ask them questions. If you're not given the chance, it's difficult. I understand that. And I get that a lot in readings as well. You know, I wasn't able to say goodbye. Oh, there I go. Know that a lot of times their soul knows before they're going to pass. You know, they get things ready. And you may not know why they're getting things ready. Maybe they're not even sick. But, you know, they've, I don't know, they've paid for their funeral, or they've gotten their paperwork in order, and, you know, they've talked to you about their final wishes and things like that. And you're thinking, why are you talking about this? And then a week later, they have a heart attack and they pass, because they knew something was coming. Their spirit knew something was coming. You know, my poor kids, I don't talk about death a lot, even though I talk to others about death a lot. But I just want them to be prepared that one day I'm not going to be here. So we need to say the things that we need to say now, because I don't want you to be worried about, oh my goodness, I didn't have a chance to say this or this or this. So it's having those conversations. You know, I'm not addicted to talking about it, but I've also had enough clients that were very blindsided and had no idea what was involved in planning a funeral and what was involved. You know, you see death, you think about death, you hear about death. You know that someday this person isn't going to be with you. But when reality hits, it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different thing. You know, as I'm talking about this, as difficult as it may be, you know, listen to the things that they say. Record it. Take pictures of you holding their hand. You know, do as much as you can before they pass. But if you don't get that chance to do those things, try not to feel guilty about it. And that's the big thing. It's sometimes we're so riddled with guilt because we didn't get to do this, or we didn't make it in time, or we didn't. Things happen the way that they were supposed to happen. I just know that. I have enough faith and belief and enough knowledge from spirit to know that there is a perfect plan. There was a perfect plan for your loved one, for the way that they passed, whether it seems perfect to you or not. You know, I never understand why, you know, kids have cancer. I never understand why, you know, shootings and murder happens and kidnappings. And I never understand why that happens. But you know what? It's not for me to understand. It's for me to know that even if it was a horrific way that the person passed, they're at peace right now. They are in the most glorious space that they want to be in. And I truly believe they wouldn't want to come back if they could, you know? So when you think about, you know, what does death look like? What does it feel like? I always imagine, and you know, when you're kids and you put your arms on either side of the door and you push really hard, you push really hard for like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, whatever, and then you let go of the door, you feel like your arms are just kind of like floating up, or you carry something really heavy and then you're not carrying it anymore, like you feel lighter. I feel like that's what it feels like when the soul and the spirit leaves the body. There's this light and light floating feeling. There's this, I don't know, this feel of relief, this heaviness. This meat suit that we carry around is so heavy sometimes. And some of our human emotions are so heavy. And we leave those and we rise. You know, if you imagine, you know, standing on the warmest day. And for me, it's warm, you know. If you like winter and that's your favorite season, imagine standing in the sun on the coldest day. You know, whatever makes your energy feel blessed. But I just imagine like looking into the sun and feeling warmth all around me and feeling light and at peace and the happiest I've ever felt, and the aches and the pains and, you know, the feeling of oldness and the anger and unforgiveness, or, you know, whatever those human emotions are, they're no longer part of me. And all that's left is that loving energy of my soul, my spirit, what made me who I was here, without all the human flaws that I carried with myself as well. So when you think about, yes, so when I do readings, some people will ask me if they were in pain. Some people will ask me, you know, if they were alone. And these are common questions that I get all the time. And sometimes our passing is less than graceful, you know, whether it is, you know, a disease that takes our strength away, or our ability to speak or to talk, or, you know, if it's some type of violent passing, or, you know, we've lost a loved one because, you know, of an overdose, or they've decided to end their life, you know, once their soul and their spirit leaves their body, they're on a whole new journey. It's just like, you know, women would only have one child if labor was too difficult to handle. Labor can be very painful. It could last for hours and hours and hours, right? But at the end, there's birth. At the end, you have this child, you know, in your hands that is part of you. And I feel like death is very much like that. Even if there is pain, that's that labor that they go through. But the birth, that rebirth to the other side, is the most joyous thing for them. So if there was pain before they passed, know that the pain is now gone. There is no pain, right? There is just joy and happiness and love that surrounds them. How do I talk about this? So when our loved one passes, excuse me, sometimes their spirit will hang around for a little while. Sorry. You will feel their presence around you. You may smell them, you may feel them, you may hear them, you may, you know, I feel like they attend their funeral. Like, who wouldn't attend your own funeral? You know, they listen to what's there because they're helping you to heal as well as they're healing and transitioning to the other side. And after they pass, sometimes they go away for a little while because they need to transition. They need to, I don't know what the right way to say this is. They need to get used to their, or get knowing to their new being, their, you know, just having the spirit and the soul and no longer having the heaviness of the body. So they're getting used to that. But know that they will come around when you need them. So talk to them. You know, I talk to my mother all the time. And I don't always hear from her. Sometimes I do. But I'll still have conversations with her. You know, I think about her. I talk about her to other people. You know, my Uncle Glenn. Oh my gosh, you know. You all know I adored my Uncle Glenn. And it, you know, Thanksgiving just isn't the same without him sitting there, you know, wanting his cup of coffee with, you know, 1 sweet and low and 2 creams. You know, it's just not the same. But it's that memory that I have in my heart of when he was here with us that keeps that glow within my heart. Does that make sense? Talked about that. So the question is then, do I go see a medium? Do I connect with my loved one on the other side? It's not for everybody. So if you've had an awesome experience with a medium and your friend loses someone and you say, oh, you've got to go see a medium. If they say, I don't really think so, don't push it. They'll know if they're ready to seek that out. And it's not for everyone. And before you go to a medium, ask your friends, who have you gone to see? You know? Of course, you can come see me. You can set up an appointment with me. But again, I'm not for everyone. You may not connect or feel the vibe with me. There are a lot of great mediums out there. On the other side, there's a lot of bad ones out there too. So that's why I say, ask your friends. Don't be afraid to ask them. They've gone. There's at least one. And if they all say, oh, no, I've never gone to a medium. No. Chances are a little bit later when it's just you and this person, you know what? I did go see a medium once. Right? So you'll know whether you need that moment, that validation to seek a medium. But just make sure that you get referred to one. And I've seen many mediums myself. Some are really good, some not so much. But with every session that I've gone to, I've learned something, or I've got something from that. Know that there is no guarantee that your loved one will show up. But if you talk to them, I've had so many people come in and say, I told them they better show up. Or you bring something with you that belongs to them that, you know, helps the medium, you know, connect with them. It's always a great thing to do. All right. But make sure that you're ready. I always recommend that you wait, you know, the minimum 30 days after your loved one has passed. They need to transition into the afterlife, and you've got some transitioning to do as well. You know, that 90-day, 6 months would probably be better, but, you know, the minimum of 30 days. So like I was saying, there is a book that Echo Bodine wrote, What Happens After You Die, and she's a psychic medium. And it's a psychic exploration of death, heaven, and the soul's journey after death. And this is one of the books that I first read when I started opening up to spirit, because I needed to make some sense of death. And I think of death a whole different way than what I did several years ago. Not that I'm anxious to die, but I'm okay with it. You know, I do the best that I can, and hopefully help to help as many people as possible. I'm not anxious to leave this earth. You know, I've got kids and grandkids and, you know, hopefully someday great grandkids, someday. But you know, every day that we live is a day closer to death. So you live the life that you love, and you love the life that you live. You're the only one that can change it if you're not. But I just want you to know that as the holidays approach and we start to think about those who are not there at the table with us, in spirit, whether it's within your heart, they're with you. You know, whether it's, like I said, them in spirit or them in your heart, they're with you. Talk about them, think about them. I always put, my mom has this Christmas vest that she always wore. I always put it on a chair. So, you know, it just kind of represents that she's here. And Denise posted the other day about the empty chair, which I thought was awesome. And we talk about that a lot, just because they're not sitting at the table with you today. They have in the past, and their memory and their soul and their spirit is still very much with you. So, if you're wondering if your loved one is okay, yeah, they're okay. But check in with yourself and see if you're okay. Use that as a starting point. Okay. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I got on a little bit of a soapbox, I guess, there. So if you're wondering if they're okay, that's totally normal. It's absolutely normal. Fill your heart with remembering them. Remember what you had instead of what you've lost. That's what my 30-day grief recovery journal is for. My head knows, but my heart still hurts. To remember what you had instead of what you've forgotten. But know that, I promise you, one day you will see them again. They will be there for your last breath. They will welcome you with open arms to the other side. Ask them to send you signs. And then when you see the signs, thank them. And continue to do that. But keeping them with you in spirit, in your heart, talking about them, looking at old pictures, keeping traditions. Like, that's what keeps their spirit, their energy alive with you right here on the human earth. Because we're not okay. They're okay, but we're not okay. So, I did want to, my head knows, my heart still hurts. Available on Amazon, Hip Gypsy Emporium, and there's also a link on the website that you can get the book. But I wrote this poem in the book that I wanted to end with. That says, we'll meet on the mountain. And of course, I wrote this for my mother. You taught me to love, how to care and forgive. I look at your picture to memories relived. I learned from your death not to take life for granted. I have blossomed and grown from the seed that you planted. When you left, what you left in my heart will never die. Though you're no longer with me, this isn't goodbye. We'll meet on the mountain beneath the moonlight. I know you'll be waiting for my angel flight. Your loved one will be waiting for you. And if you are struggling, I want to talk to you about, I want to suggest that you get the book, My Head Knows But My Heart Still Hurts. It's a 30-day grief recovery journal. When I wrote this, it helped me walk through the grieving process. But like I said, your loved one will be waiting for you on that mountain for your angel flight. So today is Tuesday. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I come to you every Tuesday at 10:30 and talk to you about different things. Today, We kind of tiptoed, walked through what happens when you die, dealing with death. Holidays, you know, this is a difficult time for you to walk through death, for you to walk through grief. But all of us do it, and you can do it. And I think that's all I have to say on that. So, this is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. My name is Stacey Needenthal. I will see you next Tuesday at 10:30. I pray that you all are living the life you love and you're loving the life you live. If not, you're the only one that can change it. I will talk to you soon. Peace out. I love you. Talk to you Tuesday. Bye-bye.